It is no wonder that people who are highly imaginative or creative tend to be introverts, and yet they don't have a very good reputation because people don't really understand them. Today's video is all about understanding introverts and why you are the best if you are one. I know you must be thinking, why do I need to be an introvert? What if I tell you that it is fun altogether? But what does being an introvert mean? Are there any benefits? Being an introvert looks like spending a lot of time doing stuff on your own. It looks like reading books instead of watching TV all day long. It seems like going outside and getting fresh air every chance you get, instead of staying inside all day. An introvert is a quiet person who does not like to talk very much. So the main thing I want to address in this talk is that there is nothing wrong with being an introvert. However, society does not see it in the same light. It has taught us that being an introvert is the worst thing you can be, and everyone should be an extrovert. But hear me out. It's important to know the benefits of being an introvert. I'm here today to talk about being an introvert. Here are the benefits. Number 1, avalanche of creativity. I believe it's really stupid to get caught up in the idea that extroverts are more creative than introverts. I've met and worked with a lot of people who are both, but I'm more inclined to believe that being an introvert can make you more creative. I know this from personal experience because I am an introvert. When I was a little kid, I used to make up stories about my life and write them down in a notebook. It took me years before I realized that being quiet and spending time alone were two of my favorite things in the world. And if you're an introvert like me, that's probably true for you too. Introverts have a lot of energy and they use it differently than extroverts do. They're often happier when they spend time alone because they can think things themselves. Oh, and yes, introverts tend to be more productive at work because they're not wasting time socializing or looking for ways to get out of working on a project. Number 2, strong listeners. Introverts are strong listeners. When you're an introvert, you tend to be a good listener. This is because you are extremely focused on the other person, and you do not like to interrupt them. Consequently, you can easily pick up on what they aspire to say and how they want to say it. Introverts can often become involved in conversations they were not originally planning on getting engaged in because they could listen carefully before jumping in with their own thoughts or ideas about what someone else just said or how they should respond when someone asks a question. They're fearless in asking questions or taking on tasks that might seem daunting to others. Introverts tend to be more confident than extroverts in their own abilities, which can make them better leaders and decision makers. Number 3, analytical thinkers. Are you intuitive? Are you not judgmental about outward appearance? No? Congratulations! You are an introvert. I've been an introvert for my whole life, and I've always found it useful to be able to think things through in an analytical way, as well as from a gut level. I see myself as a person who analyzes things before they happen, and then makes decisions based on that analysis. I used to be afraid of being judged for being analytical because, in my mind, it seemed like a negative trait. But I realized that introversion isn't a negative trait. It's just different from extroversion. And yes, then the game changed. Introverts are the smartest people in the room, and they use their analytical thinking to make sense of their environment and understand how things work. They think about things from a concrete perspective that doesn't involve getting too caught up in the emotions of others. They've learned not to judge people based on their outward appearance, and they are more likely to be sensitive, emotional, and shy. This is because they're internally very calm and relaxed. Number 4, uninterested in superficial relationships. Introverts are not interested in superficial relationships. In fact, they have very few of them. They prefer focusing on their interests and hobbies rather than others' social circles. Also, introverts don't enjoy being around large groups of people as extroverts do. They feel most comfortable when they are alone. And yes, the impactful point is that introverts tend to form more meaningful relationships with other introverts and can better communicate their feelings and thoughts with them. Number 5, loyal friends. I found that introverts are loyal friends. They tend to be supportive of others and will be there when you need them most. They don't hang out with friends all the time, but they're there when you need them. I know a lot of introverts. They're the ones who help me through tough times. They tell me when I need to take a break from socializing, and they're always supportive of my goals and dreams. They don't need to be in the spotlight and prefer to be surrounded by people who like them for who they are. They'll always be there for you, and when you're really down, they'll be the person who can get through to you. They're not faking it, and that's the beauty. Number 6, do not need external validation. You may be an introvert and think that it's a bad thing, but The truth is, being an introvert can actually be a blessing in disguise. Being an introvert means you don't need as much external validation as extroverts do. That's because introverts are less likely to seek out others' approval or affirmation, and they're more likely to seek their own. This makes them content with themselves, which is great, but it also leaves them feeling empty when they're around others. So what's the solution? Well, there isn't one. The best way to deal with this is to accept it and learn to love yourself for who you are. Introverts are often misunderstood, but that doesn't mean they should be treated any differently than anyone else. Introverts stay in their own heads and can go for long periods without speaking to anyone. They learn to be comfortable with silence, and this is a skill you can use to your advantage. Number 7, self-sufficient. Introverts are self-sufficient. They don't like to be the center of attention, so they don't seek it out. They don't have to be in a room full of people or on a stage to feel accomplished. They just do what they need to do and let the rest take care of themselves. They also tend to be more practical than other people. They aren't afraid of hard work and can handle things that might seem overwhelming or impossible for someone else. They can go days without talking to anyone. And yes, this is the reason many introverts have an extremely hard time making friends at school or work, because they don't like being around people all the time. They'd much rather be alone with their thoughts than hear what everyone else has to say about the same topic for hours on end. If you're an introvert, then remember that this doesn't make you any less amazing than anyone else. It just means that you're different from most people out there. Number 8, good at prioritizing tasks. If you're an introvert, you've probably noticed that prioritizing tasks is one of the things you do best. You know what needs to be done, and you can prioritize it. While this might sound like a benefit of being an introvert, it's not just about being able to prioritize. It's about being able to do something without feeling overwhelmed by all the other stuff that needs doing. It's about being able to choose what matters most and focus on that. Being an introvert means that when you have a problem or question, you don't feel like there are too many answers out there. The amount of information your brain can store at once is limited. So when you're looking for information, it helps if there are fewer options available. You can narrow down your choices more quickly because they're already familiar to your brain. Number 9, cautions. Being an introvert is a lot like being a cat. You can't be seen at the wrong time of day, or else you'll get mauled to death by a pack of ravenous dogs. Introverts are cautious by nature. They don't like to make rash decisions and prefer to think things through before acting. On the flip side, though introverts spend time alone, they're not prone to loneliness or depression. I am an introvert, and I am proud of being one. Being an introvert can be an incredible experience. Once you start embracing your inner self, you will start experiencing all the benefits and advantages of being an introvert. The key is to embrace who you are and not let other people change your way of living. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the bell icon so I can bring you similar videos. Thank you.